And welcome to the west coast of Florida. You're watching the American Conference on ESPN. Of the day, the University of South Florida will take on Uconn in the battle of two teams seeking to improve their lot in life in the American. Hello again, everybody. Along with Mark Adams, I'm Dave Lamont. Thank you very much for joining us. And I realize it's only January 4th, Mark, but do you feel a little air of desperation with this matchup today?
You know, it's amazing. I already feel the clock ticking, and not for the ball to drop. Although the ball's going to drop today here at USF as both teams went on the road in their conference opener. Uconn gets drubbed at Cincinnati. Cincinnati dominated Uconn. USF goes on the road and plays against SMU and pretty much lays an egg there. And now USF comes home with a must-win situation at home. And Uconn, to be relevant in this race, you've got to win some road games. So far, Temple is the only team to win on the road early season. USF needs to win at home. Uconn needs to win on the road. And
Uconn has had some big so-called preseason wins. Certainly they had a big one against the Gators earlier in the year at home.
Yeah, Florida, when they were ranked at number 15 in the country, and Christian Patel came through with the big steal. That's what Uconn does. They force you into turnovers. A big win for Danny Hurley and a statement win for Uconn. And how about the win over Miami as well? And in that particular game, there was a freshman by the name of James Bouknight that went for 25 points. Uconn has some young parts and pieces of their team that are very interesting.
And also, they have done very well lately in recruiting. Under Dan Hurley, we mentioned some of the parts that you've already dropped some of these names here. When we see this has been one of the better Uconn recruiting classes, the 2019 one. They had a great one in 2016 as well, but this is a solid threesome.
A Cook, one of the top shot blockers in America, in the top 10, over 3 block shots per game. James Bouknight, again, a 25-point score on one night of the season. They need him to be more consistent. This is a Uconn team that has young weapons.
Now, one of their older weapons, though, is the junior Josh Carlton. And just in reading some of the Hartford newspapers and talking to some people around here, it seems like this is the guy that Uconn needs to ignite to move forward and win.
Here's the problem, though. Josh Carlton went into Cincinnati with a big reputation, had been playing very, very well. Cincinnati attacked them and basically ripped his heart out. He lost his confidence in that game. Now Josh Carlton has to come back and establish his roots in the paint and attack the basket and be the big man that Uconn expects him to be. No question Uconn has good enough guards. Carlton has to play like the Josh Carlton I saw earlier in the year, not like the one I saw get dominated at Cincinnati.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the home team here, the USF Bulls. It generated one of the big, in fact, the biggest turnaround in college basketball last season. They went on to win the CBI for Brian Gregory. They went more than double their victory total.
Well, Brian Gregory has a history of turning around programs and then leading programs to even extra benefits as he did at the University of Dayton. Now at USF, he's turned this program around, but now it's 7-7 and a home game against Uconn. This is a pivotal point of the American Conference season for the USF Bulls.
And for USF to succeed, they need a completely healthy David Collins, and while he may not quite be that, he is certainly one of the best players in USF history.
Yeah, David Collins is a 1,000-point scorer and can be explosive, but at SMU, there were problems as David Collins hurt his ankle, and he sat out one game against FAU, which they won here at home, but then went on the road, and David Collins was not explosive, didn't score. Today, look for him to be more aggressive from the three-point line. He doesn't have that explosive first step based upon what I saw this morning in practice, but if he gets it back, then he becomes even more dangerous. But look for the three ball to come from David Collins to get some scoring from him here this afternoon.
Well, let's count slowly. Let's go from 0 to 1. Number 1 for Uconn, Patel, critical player for them. You already mentioned him earlier with that big steal against the Gators, but you got to have the kind of play from a guy like that now.
Christian Patel is the key and emotional leader to this basketball team at Uconn. He's a guy that must score, but he also needs to lead his team in understanding that you just don't run your offense, as they did against Cincinnati. You run your offense to score. And Christian Patel is the leader of this team. He's one of the great steal guys in America, won the Florida game for them with that late game steal. Keep an eye on number 1, Christian Patel today for the Uconn Huskies on the road at USF.
And for Dan Hurley, he's going to trot out the same starting lineup. He's trotted out the first 13 games of this season with Patel, Gilbert, Polly, Cook, and Carlton. Brian Gregory for USF has had to shuffle some bodies around, but he does have David Collins returning to the starting group. The big man Michael Durr, Justin Brown, Quincy Rideau, and Zach Dawson making his 13th start of the season. Our officials, Randy Heimerman, Jeb Hartness, and Sean Cassidy. And here at the Yuengling Center, they're about ready to roll. Somebody's going to walk out of this building feeling awfully good about themselves. And some had success in previous jobs. He's a Seton Hall grad. So he'll be happy to see Seton Hall again when UConn heads into a different conference next year. A little bit more on that later. And then Will also is happy that they've got the ball.
Watch for Josh Carlton, number 25. Watch for him to get a touch early in this game. They want to get him involved.
Tough shot, and we're going to get a whistle, an early foul on Michael Durr. As Vital will draw that. We mentioned Brian Gregory a couple of times already. The Oakland University grad in his third year at USF. 18th year overall as a head coach. And he has injected some real life in this program.
Can you tell this is a big game already as you look at Brian Gregory? Already furrowing his brow.
And already making a substitution. Michael Durr grabs an immediate seat on the bench. And Anton Marichevich will come in. And also, Durr's not going to get a seat without a lecture.
Well, first defensive possession led to dribble penetration by Vital. Might have been a little bit late on the rotation.
And there was Carlton with a back tap to Vital.
Well, Dave, this is the time of year where coaches can't afford to have patience. You've got to perform. You've got to execute, period.
Free ball. Carlton took a swipe at the rebound, and it's going to be knocked out of bounds and belong to USF. No, you're right. And listen, we saw already some unusual goings on. Temple goes into Orlando. They barely win, but they win. Then they go home, and Tulsa just destroys them. So, you know, there's some interesting things. Wichita State struggled with East Carolina in Kansas. So, who knows how this conference is going to turn out.
And Jeremiah Horn with a big game for Tulsa yesterday, knocking off Temple 70-44.
So that was not an over and back deflection, but already deep into the shot clock with 5 to shoot. Tough little floater there. Chevich with a rebound and just missed the putback, and UConn will clear the grab by Polly. There's Carlton.
That's exactly what Dan Hurley wanted to open this game. Get the ball to the big guy, get his confidence back, allow him to establish himself in the paint. If Josh Carlton does that on this day, I like UConn's chances.
Collins trying to hit the cutter, and it ends up being a kick ball. It'll be 15 to shoot.
So in watching the Cincinnati game, one thing I noticed about UConn was that they just ran their offense. Today, already, they're running their offense to score. There's a big difference, Dave.
What is the difference?
The difference is that you become passive. You pass the ball, but you don't attack the basket. And I thought UConn was really passive, as aggressive as they can be defensively. As you see the on-ball defense by Altrique Gilbert, sometimes they fall asleep and are soft offensively. They certainly were against Cincinnati.
Well, there's a few folks who are standing up waiting for the first basket for the Bulls. Their legs are getting a little rubbery, and they also got a chance to touch the basketball on that overthrow.
So far, UConn on offense has gotten a dribble penetration. They've gotten a touch in the paint. They've gotten the free throw line, and they've scored. Let's see what they do now if they run their offense or attack.
Gilbert passes out to a Cook. Gilbert gets it right back. He'll attack again. A Cook will three-ball it. Yeah, let me tell you, if he adds that to his game, and he's not a bad three-point shooter, 33%, this guy is really going to be something.
Yeah, he is a human sponge. Someday, he will play in the NBA. That's how much I like him.
Got to add a little bit. Look how thin his legs are. He's listed at 193 at 6'3". So body fat, not a problem. He needs a little bit of muscle, but boy, he can play.
He's only a freshman. He'll get stronger.
That'll be knocked out of bounds. It belonged to the Huskies. So we've gone 2 minutes and 40 seconds without any points for USF.
A Cook is a guy you got to keep your eye on, especially when he starts doing this. He is a human sponge. All he wants to do is get better. He might be one of the youngest members of this team. He's also maybe the greatest teammate on this team. Really gets it.
3.2 blocks per game. And one of the odder stat anomalies that you'll see in that Cincinnati loss, the Huskies blocked 13 shots. which is absolutely unbelievable to lose the game by as much as they did. They were never really in that game, and somehow they still blocked 13 shots.
Yeah, Cincinnati just pounded it inside to the ever-improving big guy vote for John Brannon's bunch. And Jaron Cumberland played more like Jaron Cumberland than he has all season long.
That foul on a Cook, his first.
See, David Collins has to shoot that ball. He was wide open. He can't live off the dribble drive because of his ankle. He's got to shoot it.
That's a good pass, and maybe a chance to get on the board, and he'll get an assist, and Justin Brown puts him in their seats.
Justin Brown active at 6'6", moved to the open space, and Collins found him.
That was almost 3.5 minutes of silence on the Bulls scoreboard.
Good ball movement by Uconn.
But a good, solid box out by Brown that time.
What USF does, they're just so fundamentally sound. That's Brian Gregory basketball. Bad shot.
Yeah, Zach Dawson forced up a very difficult shot. Well, they are tough to beat on the boards, this USF bunch. Polly traveled.
Oh, we got a foul. Second official comes in for the foul.
All right, so Randy Heimerman had foul. And Brian Gregory is not overjoyed with that, so the foul is going to usurp the travel call.
Yeah, that's probably a missed call right there.
Rito hit with the call.
Now, Brian Gregory's not happy and probably has a really good argument for the out official to call it all the way across the floor. That's a tough call.
Now, Randy Heimerman was the official closest, and he very quickly whistled for a travel. And I think they're trying to get the right player assigned the foul. And now, instead of Rito, it's going to be on Dawson. They are really working hard defensively to keep Carlton from getting the ball.
Yeah, it's very physical down low.
Oh, no chance at all. David Collins blocked the shot on the way down. Collins trying to go coast to coast, and he was fouled. Well, we told you that there's an air of desperate attentiveness to this game, and we're seeing it.
David Collins from the backside. And Collins devours that shot here in South Florida.
For that team, such a critical player also this season for Brian Gregory. And USF, when you consider where they went in the 2017-18 season, you better believe they're going to celebrate that CBI title.
Well, Brian Gregory got a nice ride, and deservedly so. And there you see the record of 10 and 22 in 2017-18. The biggest turnaround in the country, followed with 24 victories. And this season now 7-7. And listen, every conference game is critical, but the way this has shaped up, with both teams going on the road and losing, and now USF coming at home, this is a critical time for both teams in the race in the American.
Collins well short on the free throw. He is 61% foul shooter.
You know, Dave, the reason I say that is that Memphis, they're not going to lose many games, from what I can see.
No, I've seen them, and you're right, they're not.
Houston's really good. Wichita State is really good. Look at what Tulsa did to Temple. Temple's pretty good. I watched them beat St. Joe's by 48 earlier this season.
There's going to be an offensive foul, and if that's on a Cook, and it is, he's got 2. So Cook with 2 fouls and an instant decision by Dan Hurley of what to do. Take a look around the conference focus.
Shocker was avoided. East Carolina, ECU played very, very well. Jaden Gardner went for 29 points, 10 rebounds in that game, but the Pirates not good enough to win in the Roundhouse. Temple wins at UCF. That's the only road win so far in the American. And Memphis is still Memphis. I don't care if they got James Wiseman or not. There's this kid named Precious Achua that's pretty doggone good. And that is a team that just continues to bring talent to you, and they guard you. They were really good defensively.
Achua is a walking Sports Center top 10 highlight. 3 ball at USF after a slow start on a 5-0 run. Rito there.
Dave, with Memphis, you have Jeffries to that mix, another big body that can run. As we go inside to Carlton, there's a big body. Can he finish? No.
Collins right down the pipe. Oh, my goodness. A Cook's replacement, Sidney Wilson, comes in with a swat.
That's a pretty good job coming off the bench.
Polly left open.
Love that kid. Love that kid.
42% three-point shooter is South Floridian out of Miramar, right on the border of Miami-Dade and Broward counties.
No question, number 12, Tyler Polly, can shoot the basketball. Once he learns to put the ball on the floor and finish in traffic, you got yourself an all-conference player.
Okay, so I guarantee you Rito's waiting still for a whistle. He thought there was contact. He bounced off the contact and kissed it in.
Maybe the strongest player in the league.
He is a compact physique. Carlton being held just a tiny bit. Gives it up and threw it away. Collins, and he'll retreat wisely. Goes to the left. Collins. And that's what USF has got to have.
And we're seeing the explosive first step from David Collins. That ankle looks just fine, thank you very much. A little gimpy this morning. The lights are on today. He's forgotten about that ankle injury.
Gilbert trying to dish it off. He does get it to Vital. 7 to shoot. Tough little fadeaway. Nice touch by Christian Vital, playing in his 83rd straight game.
Boy, that is when your best player just says, okay, the offense is broken down. Now I'm going to take over. Christian Vital can do that. They need more of that.
Well, Reno is going to get a break here, and the foul is called on Sidney Wilson. It looks like Reno made the contact first.
Josh Carlton has to be more aggressive down low. First of all, he steps out away from the basket, then turns away from the basket. It's never an offensive threat. And all you got to do then is just read eyes. And then on the next possession, a kick and play. Christian Vital is a really good player, and I like how aggressive he is today versus the way he played at Cincinnati when, frankly, he was in foul trouble most of the game.
Substitutions for UConn. Booknight, number 2, is guarding the inbound passes come in. So is Isaiah Whaley. And it's going to be a turnover against USF. Rashawn Williams is in number 5 for USF. And number 4 is back Michael Durr, who played about 50 seconds, drew a foul, and then drew a seat on the bench. Also, Xavier Castaneda, number 1, has come in for Brian Gregory's Bulls.
Keep an eye on number 2 for UConn, James Booknight. UConn needs offense from this freshman. See if he can step up, be more aggressive, but there he is with the ball right now.
And Brendan Adams has also checked in. He has the ball before he gave it to Booknight. So massive substitution there for Dan Hurley.
Here comes Booknight. There he is.
Running out of time on the shot clock. Gives it up with 3 seconds on the clock. Adams, and he hits. I'm not sure that's how they planned it, but Adams a pretty good three-point shooter at 34%.
But Booknight never lost his composure, kept his head up, and found the open man in Brendan Adams, who strokes it.
Double teaming the big man in the post.
That's just terrible offense. You got to turn and square. You got to be stronger with the basketball.
Now you also got to get going here because you're down to 3 to shoot. That's a super long throw. Reno! You should get extra for that. I'll throw a name at you. You'll know it. That's a Dan Marley 3.
That is a Dan Marley 3. Thunder Dan Marley 3. Played at the MAC school, by the way.
Yes,
Your
he did.
son also played.
But in fact, the rival of my son's
right.
university.
Both played the MAC.
However, UConn fires right back with a 3 of their own. 17-12 Huskies. Wide open. Good look from Rito. Great pass. Unfortunately, the shot didn't match it. Booknight racing into the forecourt. Didn't make it, but that was smooth.
Yep. He's going to be a really good player. Pretty good right now.
Well, David Collins seems just fine.
Yeah,
would like to have an ankle like that.
He's a lot like Jaron Cumberland, which makes him a hard matchup for UConn. We saw that Cumberland is a hard matchup for anybody, by the way. David Collins is cut out of a very similar cloth. like that.
No, it did not come through on the shot, but he has shown that he can move. It's got to knock him down now.
LaQuincy Rideau, shot clock winding down. Rideau that.
On the Miami Hurricanes, Blue Devils are 20-7 all time against the Canes, but since 2012, Miami has split. They're 5-5. A Saturday showcase presented by 5 Hour Energy.
And Duke is undefeated since their last loss to the Lumberjacks of Stephen F. Austin.
That's right.
One of the biggest upsets in NCAA history took place, and Duke has learned quite nicely, thank you, and come back and won a whole bunch in a row, and now they'll go to Miami to test their wares against the Hurricanes, where they have had a history of, on occasion, getting beat.
Yeah, it's weird. Jim Laranaga's team rises up against Duke. I mean, everybody does, but they actually succeed sometimes. Zach Dawson. Castaneda left open. Triple drive, back iron, and he will tip the rebound. Dawson from Durr. And Williams unboxed. Rashawn Williams puts it in.
With great spacing by South Florida, especially coming out of that shot. USF was able to garner the offensive rebound, then space the floor. Very well done.
And Brendan Adams rims out. Rebound to Michael Durr. USF will try for the lead. Durr open. And UConn was fortunate that Whaley didn't foul him. That is the first lead for the Bulls today. That's going to draw a whistle, and that's going to draw a trip to the foul line. Foul looks like it'll be on Castaneda.
Take a look at Bouknight right here. Gets into the paint, goes straight up, draws contact. And he's a guy that can create his own shot. As he gets physically stronger, he won't fall down on that play. He'll just finish that play on his feet and go shoot the free throws.
Again, another slender freshman for Dan Hurley at 6'4", 175. He can't make it the three-point play. So, yeah, these guys got to spend part of 2020 after the season in the weight room. It'll be interesting to see what they look like next year.
Yeah. Get bigger, stronger, and better.
Oh, good look by Rideau. Durr brought the ball down, though, the big guy, and he is fouled. A little contact, I think, with the face of one of the UConn players.
Now, Michael Durr is really making a difference. Take a look at when the shot goes up and the rebound comes out, then all of a sudden there's white jerseys that space the floor. They just spread out. Look at 1, 2, 3, 4. All the way across the three-point line. Everybody's spotted up, which also gives space to the offensive glass work. Really well done by USF.
Durr 61% on the year. Rattle that one in. Whaley was hit with that foul for UConn.
When Michael Durr, so important, especially with Alexis Yetna, who was hurt basically the day before the season started. You know, he's a guy that gives you impact for the game with how he sets screens. He go grab you an offensive rebound. It's not necessarily the stats, but he needs to be a guy that can score and finish in the post. That's what they lose a little bit with Yetna. He's got to be a guy that can step up and do that for USF in this league. You got to have a big guy that can hold his own.
Bouknight, Collins reached in, almost stole it. USF bench wanted a call, did not get it. Adams and Durr with the deflection and the interception.
Yeah, that's an example of what he does. He can win new games with his wingspan and his activity.
He flashes open, tries to create a little space for Dawson, who has a nice touch off the back of the air, and Zach Dawson puts USF back in front.
This is exactly the type of game we expected.
It's a little higher score.
A little higher scoring. I think it'll settle down a little less in scoring. These teams settle down a little bit, but really good game, really tight game. Both teams with a lot on the line here today.
You know it's serious when assistant coaches are stomping their floor because somebody didn't come off a screen the right way on defense. As we looked over at the USF bench, and Tom Harrion was going nuts. Castaneda rolls it around and in.
Well, Uconn giving up a lot of easy baskets right now. Dan Hurley will play through simply because we're at the under 8-minute mark. Next whistle is dead ball, media timeout.
He's got 3 subs waiting. He's gone to his bench extensively for this stretch. 4 to shoot. Oh my, that was an 11-2 run that just got punctured by Jalen Gaffney, another freshman.
Another top 100 ESPN freshman.
Yep, number 96, I believe.
That was a gutty shot by Gaffney. But here's where you got to stop the bleeding. And they do.
And Gaffney gets the board. Polly, one of the starters in the game. Bouknight with an aggressive offensive rebound.
That's where Polly has to get better. He gets to the rim. That's either a dunk or off the glass, but not flip it up and hope it goes in.
Bouknight floating. Nope, tapped at it. No, Whaley misses it. Uconn keeps it alive. Polly, there's the aggressiveness. Didn't go.
Finish that. That's twice he's been at the rim and half hands it to the rim. That's just not good offense. He's got to learn to finish.
And Castaneda had a lot of English on that shot, maybe too much. Everybody needs to take a breath.
Dan Hurley just shakes his head. He knows Polly had 2 point-blank looks.
Collins, 3 to shoot. That's tough. Oh, look at that. Draws the defense with the dish and the dunk.
And Michael Durr just stepped to the open wood, was wide open.
In the meantime, we're approaching the under 4, and we haven't had the under 8 timeout. Well, Dan Hurley, utterly frustrated. We'd have the timeout now. Collins with a steal on the slam.
David Collins makes his teammates better. Durr just steps to the open wood. Pretty good look, and then David Collins comes back. Get that steal, David Collins. Bring it into my living room right now. In a word, has been special. But why is he special? His mother, Dorothy Bowers, is the all-time leading scorer in Youngstown State University women's basketball history. How many points did she score? Over 2,300. So David Collins, well, I love you, son. I love your mother even more. Your gene pool has led you to this moment, David Collins, and you owe your mother a huge debt of gratitude. A Penguin, the leading scorer in the history of the Youngstown State Penguins, Dorothy Bowers.
He is Mark Adams. I'm Dave Lamont, and David Collins got a way to go to catch up to Mom. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and put a ducket or two on that he may not be able to do that because she was so good. Points in the paint, USF has a 16-4 advantage, and some solid play from Michael Durr having to do that. And right now, the Bulls in the middle of a 15-5 run. So Vital back in for Uconn. He has it. Carlton in there. A Cook through 2 early fouls and has not been back in since he was replaced. Carlton had it stripped. Collins, but Collins ran into Gilbert. And you're right, Mark, he is hesitating. Oh, my goodness, what a gorgeous speed. And an easy layup for Bouknight.
Yeah, it's Maltreat Gilbert, who just looked away and then just dropped the dime. But Josh Carlton, this is a problem. He's lacking confidence in the paint right now. He's hesitant to make plays. And USF is reading that and devouring the basketball in the paint whenever he touches it.
Another thing, Mary Chavich, 34, is pushing him around quite a bit. He's being very, very physical with him. I think he's going to draw a foul here, reaching over, but if you guys get a chance to look on your device at home or wherever you may be, watch those two because Maricevich is knocking him around.
Yeah, Antun Maricevich is in the game for a reason. To be physical with Josh Carl. Watch number 25 in blue versus 34 in white, especially as he gets the paint, how physical it is inside.
He's going to go right back to him and give him a little shoulder shove.
Leaning on him inside. Whenever he gets the paint, he's putting a body on him.
And I'm sure that's in the scouting report.
Wide
Carlton
open.
flashes open. Got a little bit of a bump and it knocked him off stride. Now Carlton reaching literally over Rito. And everything's fine. The officials clicked the jump in, but there was no hostility there. South Florida and Uconn each seeking their first conference win this season.
I'm really into this car, but how do I know if I'm getting a good deal? TrueCar knows exactly how much people have been paying for the car I want. I tell TrueCar my zip.
Interesting Duke team because of the varied weapons that they have, both in their starting lineup and coming off the bench. This is the type of team that Mike Krzyzewski will do his best job with. He doesn't have to focus on one guy or two guys and feed that monster to score 20 points a game. They can distribute the basketball. They are hard to guard, and scouting report-wise, they're even harder to guard in many ways.
That'll be Saturday showcase at 8 o'clock Eastern tonight from the U. And they have split their last 10 meetings since 2012. Of course, Uconn pushed Miami around when they played earlier in the year.
I think it's fair to say that Uconn getting pushed around a little bit here today, but only down 3.
A contested 3-ball, and Uconn wants to run, and they are. Bouknight, that's a tough shot, and he will go for the and one as Maricevich will be hit with a foul.
I absolutely love the upside of James Bouknight. 94 feet, and he just challenges the defense. That's how you finish a play. We've seen Pauly miss some point-blank shots. We've seen Carlton miss some point-blank shots. But yet the guy that weighs 125 pounds went right to the rim. I love him.
Maricevich heads to the bench, and Michael Durr has been very effective. Number 4 for USF comes back in. 3-point play completed, and we're knotted up.
And he actually weighs 175, so just thought I'd have a little fun with that.
Well, I know there's basketball height. Is there basketball weight as well? Do they fudge a little bit?
That's a good point. That's deep, Dave. I don't know if I have an answer here for it. Yeah.
Lord knows I fudge mine. Rito, and he'll have an opportunity to go and one. Well, he has been strong. LaQuincy Rito out of West Palm Beach. His father, a member of the West Palm Beach Police Force.
Well, we've seen his ability to get steals and make plays. Now, offensively, we saw him hit about a 35-footer as the shot clock ran down, and that time about a 35-incher.
Altori Gilbert hit with his second foul. Rito is strangely, they had 43% from the line, but he hits that one. I had to double check my chart when I saw that earlier. Big screen there set by Carlton. And just lost his balance to Gilbert. Hit ahead pass. Dawson.
I'd like to see Christian Vital get a quality touch on this possession. Look for number 1 for Uconn in the dark blue. He's the guy I would go to bail him out of this situation.
Instead, Adams will take the shot. 3-ball, no good. But Vital fighting for the rebound. It's going to go the other way, though. South Florida Rito leads the break. He's got Collins to the right. Keeps it himself. And that shot might have been partially blocked. Collins trying to reach for the ball while on his back, and Adams has it in the front court.
Vital is open. There he is.
Yeah, he gives it up. 3-ball. A little bit too strong. And Vital's going to get a foul as he ends up knocking down Zach Dawson. My first thought was a goaltend.
Nope, got it on the way up.
Yep, you're absolutely right.
Got it on the way up.
A good call, or a good no call by the officiating crew.
Dave, I think for Uconn to take the next step in their identity is also understanding who your best player is, who your most mature player is in key possessions. That's Christian Vital. I'd like to see him get touches, especially when things are going tough for Uconn.
Front end of the 1-on-1, no good. Yeah, that's going to be a foul. I think that's going to be on David Collins. It is. Wildcard weekend starts with our game on ESPN and ABC today at 4:35 Eastern, 1:35 Pacific. Josh Allen and the Bills taking on Deshaun Watson and the AFC South champion Texans of NRG Stadium. Our coverage starts with postseason NFL countdown at 3 Eastern, noon Pacific, and both are live on the ESPN app, so you can watch them anywhere.
Is Josh Allen the guy that played at Wyoming?
Yeah, absolutely. I saw him play a few times in college. Couldn't help but be impressed.
Yeah, if you can swing it in Laramie, you can swing it in Buffalo.
Yeah.
That's the lesson.
Just a big kid, too. That's a big body. Like almost a 5-second call against UConn. Vital rolled out, tapped once. Whaley had a hand on it. And let's see, we have a jump ball. Yeah, possession arrow is favoring USF. Everybody's angry about it, but looks like the arrow's going USF's way, so...
Yeah, it becomes a little bit of a scrum. Who wants it? Who wants it? Who wants it? Everybody wants it. And that's a jump ball.
Yeah, I don't know why people thought there was a foul.
Because they're hometown fans.
Oh, that old excuse.
Yeah. Hey, in coaching and in fandom, all you ever want is an unfair advantage.
You bet.
You don't want 5-on-5. You want 8-on-5 when you're the home fan. This is the way it works.
Left open, 3-ball, Dawson.
Oh, things are going quite nicely here in Tampa.
An unplanned three-pointer, at least the style of it. Off the window.
That was unplanned.
Largest lead for USF here.
And this was the juncture where Cincinnati really poured it on UConn just a couple days ago.
I think it's going to go the other way on UConn as Vital missed everything with a layup, and on the offensive rebound, we're going to get a foul against the Huskies on Wilson.
Now, this is a guy that shoots 43% from three. Over the last 10 games, he's shot over 50. And apparently, he makes shots regularly, but this time, that's a little bit lucky.
He did not have a good game against SMU, but you could look at that game and say almost no one from USF did. SMU just ran and hid down in Dallas. Yeah. USF has come out of hiding here.
Yeah, this is going to be hard for anybody to come in here and win. You know, this is a team that went and won the CBI, won 24 games last year. They lost their best player before their first game. They had to retool everything offensively and defensively. They're 7-7 right now and trying to hold court, their home court advantage here today to go 1-1 in the conference. Don Gregory's done a tremendous job resurrecting this program.
Bouknight passed up the three instead to drive the dish. Beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous there. Sidney Wilson benefits.
James Bouknight is the most talented player on this team. Period. He's going to be great.
Under a minute in our half. Mark's got something he worked up for you all for halftime.
Yeah,
the American Conference. Yeah. Ooh. Collins had to just stop where he was.
Look at Collins. Collins will be open.
UConn making it hard to guard, though, and they'll come up with a steal, and USF may steal it back. They do, and it's their kind of half. Rito with 13.5 and almost a steal.
Boy, the aggressor has definitely been the Bulls of USF in the first half. That is the story here this afternoon so far.
Well, that's a feel-good moment for UConn, and there haven't been many of them. Let's see what USF decides to do. And it is a 7-point South Florida Bulls advantage over UConn, but that's a big shot by Tariq Gilbert. We're going to step aside of our halftime festivities. We'll feature some thoughts on the American Conference from my partner, Mark Adams. You're watching the USF leading Uconn 39-32. Both teams started with losses in conference play. Somebody trying to get to 500 and will. Mark and Dave here with you. And I promised hits and misses in the first half.
Yeah.
The hits by the Bulls, the misses by the Huskies.
And there have been some hits by two very physical guards that have dominated this basketball game. And one of them has been David Collins. He's been physical with the basketball, drawing defenders, finding open teammates like Michael Durr. Defensively, he's been active. He's played extremely hard. There's nothing wrong with this young man's ankle right now. He is explosive. Quincy Rito, why has he been good again? Got his offensive mojo flowing early in the game from deep, and then he turned it over to some effort on the defensive end as well. He has been everywhere defensively and offensively for USF. Why is Uconn behind? They're getting out physicals. They're not attacking the rim. They are playing soft around the basket. Look at how many times the ball gets to the rim and somebody short arms the basketball. A miss there, a miss there. Watch this miss. As it comes back out, another short arm. This team is not finishing simple plays. Rito's been good. Uconn from three-point ranks today 6 for 10 for the season. That's the good news for Uconn. Points off turnovers. Look at USF 15-8. Points in paint. USF 22-10. You know what that tells me? One team's physical, one team's soft. That's the story of the first half.
And you mentioned the points off turnovers, a difference of 7, and that's the difference in our game. Now, Cook is back out, number 23 for Uconn, as he hustles back on defense. He only played 4 minutes in the first half, was benched with 2 fouls. That pass partially deflected. And Brown will get it in the hands of Rito. Oh, there you go, 70s. Clyde Frazier behind the back pass. And Durr has been the opposite of Carlton in some ways, I think, today, Mark.
Yeah, Josh Carlton was standing right there, as was Christian Vitale. There were 2 Uconn jerseys along with the white jersey of Michael Durr. And who got the basketball? Michael Durr. Danny Hurley, who is known for physical, aggressive, focused basketball teams. And at some point, you got to ask yourself, okay, Josh Carlton, who's a really good player, struggled at Cincinnati. Maybe he won't struggle. He's going out of the game right now. I could have read his mind. This is the perfect substitution right now, and it's called brain surgery as a coach. You've got to give another guy an opportunity to make a play, because Josh Carlton is not. And Dan Hurley's telling him right now, you've got to play harder.
Well, I hope Carlton does. In the meantime, I think Durr has been a real weapon for USF in this one. So Isaiah Whaley comes in to take the spot left behind by Carlton. Also, we noticed that James Bouknight started this half. He did not start the game. Number 2 in the quarter there for Connecticut.
Yeah, Bouknight was aggressive. Might have been the most aggressive blue jersey on the floor in the first half. I like that move by Dan Hurley.
Cook. At the top of the backboard, open. Look at him sprinting in from the corner, and then he had it stripped away. Dan Hurley wants a foul, not getting it.
But the good news is that Cook just got an offensive rebound because he's going pursuing the ball.
Rito is trying to aim that like a golfer in a charity tournament, trying to bend a putt. Doesn't work, trust me.
Guess who got the defensive rebound? A Cook.
Well, you have to factor his absence as part of the problem for UConn in the first half.
And Dave, another missed layup.
Collins, that's a contested 3, and he will shoot 3. As Bouknight, the look on his face, he knew he was guilty. That'll be his first foul.
See, that's a freshman closeout right there where he's not low. He's leaning into the shooter. And a guy like Collins, who has already served his apprenticeship, is going to recognize that and draw the contact.
Collins over 2 from the line. He is actually number 3 all-time and made free throws at USF. And that one there, number 339. And if he gets 13 points today, and he's got 7, he'll become the 17th all-time leading scorer for the Bulls.
Well, I remember David Collins when he came here as a freshman, who was very much heralded as the next great player here at USF. And frankly, there's been not a whole bunch of great players at USF. But Brian Gregory is up the ante in the recruiting, and David Collins is really the first guy that came here to make that difference.
Well, he's got 9, hits all 3 of them. This is the largest lead for the Bulls today, a dozen. You can see Booknight, and to your point, Mark, you thought he was aggressive, and Dan Hurley rewards him, and at the same time sends a message. You want to play, you got to be aggressive. He goes to Whaley, and Whaley knows how to finish that.
That's UConn basketball. That is finishing with authority. Let's see if UConn can build on that now on the defensive end. These big, strong guards for USF have been a problem to guard for Altreat Gilbert and for Christian Vitale.
Collins had it poked away, maintained the dribble. Dawson. Oh, just a strip, and it's Whaley. And a nice little move, and a 4-0 run by Isaiah Whaley.
Well, you got to love Isaiah Whaley coming off the bench to replace Josh Carlton, and has done a stellar job filling his role. Good for that kid. Doing a great job. Isaiah Whaley, number 5 for UConn.
Long three, Collins. Gilbert, a cook. Patient. Well, he got hit. That'll be on Collins. The strange thing is the Cook was under the basket and was about to give it up.
Now, UConn becoming a lot more aggressive. Good job of surveying the defense and picking on the defensive mistakes, as Whaley making a big difference in this game as he came in off the bench to replace Josh Carlton.
Got to hurry on the inbounds. They go along with it. It's the second time Connecticut's almost had the 5-second call against them. Gilbert. That's Vitale. And poked away and stolen. Dawson, alley, and they follow by Collins.
Dawson saw Collins at half court. They made eye contact. He knew exactly where he was going with that basketball.
Collins now in the double digits.
Too much dribbling, ball stalling.
And just a little bit of a foul. I've certainly seen more blatant, but enough to draw a whistle on Dawson.
Zach Dawson, he looks to the right there, and Collins points. That is really good reaction offense and understanding the talents of your teammates, putting them in the right position at the right time based on those talents. Very well done by Dawson and Collins.
Then Dawson takes a break. Durr is going to come out. Maricevich, number 34, checks in. He played effective minutes without really affecting the box score in the first half. And he got a hand on that. That's off of UConn. Maricevich comes in and immediately makes a play.
Well, UConn trying to match the aggression, but USF, they've got their foot to the floor, and they are revving their defensive engines.
Maricevich flashed, but UConn cut that pass off. Aggressive defense that time by Booknight. Ooh, nearly a travel. Maricevich again cuts. Every time they turn, it's double team. That leaves a man open, and Castaneda knocks it down. 13-point, now the new largest lead for the Bulls.
LaQuincy Rito with tremendous vision on that half-court set.
That was a nice pass there, but oh, and UConn screaming for an and one as Booknight puts in the layup.
Now Booknight read the defender. Defender turned his head, and the freshman took full advantage. I like that kid.
Technical foul coming on Dan Hurley. Yep. He wanted a foul, and I was kind of reading his lips. You coached.
Yeah.
You probably got technicals for saying that too.
Yeah. Well, here's the alley-oop. It can get frustrating with your second game on the road and just lost to Cincinnati. And then Rito finds his teammate. It's all USF right now here in Tampa. Well, coach for 17 years, and here's the deal. We talked about it in the open, where this is the open of conference play at Cincinnati. And Dan Hurley's ball club didn't play like Dan Hurley's ball club. They just simply were out-toughed in Cincinnati. Cincinnati put the ball down on the block, and Dan Hurley prepared his team well to come out here and be focused, be physical, and attack mode. He has a resume of great success at Wagner, at Rhode Island, and now at UConn as well. But this road trip so far has not been Dan Hurley-like from his team. I like what he did in sitting down Josh Carlton. And he brought in Whaley. And what did Whaley do? He responded for his head coach. Now, this team can still get back in this game. It's only an 11-point game, and Dan Hurley is sending a message to his team right now. Look, you've got to play hard. You've got to play physical. You've got to match USF and even go beyond their effort. Otherwise, we're going home 0-2 in conference play. And that's not acceptable at UConn, to the fan base, to the coaching staff, to the community, to anybody. And right now, Dan Hurley is sending a strong message to his team. I got your back, but you know what? You better have mine, too.
Some of what we showed you was recorded during the break, right after we went to break, and he continued to jaw at the officials. All three of them, by the way, not just the one who hit him with a technical foul. And the officials showing some restraint, just letting Hurley let rid of his steam. So the technicals taken care of. USF with the ball. Brown, and that is a contested three for the lefty.
Nothing worse than getting a technical foul. The other team gets possession and then drains a three ball on top of everything else. Now it's a 15-point game, just like that.
Booknight pulls up. Collins with a rebound.
Great block out by David Collins. Again, the more physical player won the duel.
And not on the ball, but there's going to be a foul on Christian Vital. He's been quiet today. That's 2 fouls for Vital. He only has 3 points, 1 of 5 shooting.
You know why?
Why?
Because of the size and physical nature of the USF guards. It's not a good matchup. Guys like LaQuincy Reed, look at his body, number 3 with the ball. And he is a man. David Collins with the ball right there. He is a man. Tall, strong, tough.
Missed everything there. A questionable decision to chuck that up. Hit a head pass. Alley. Oh, a Cook.
Boy, can he do that? He runs the floor as well as anybody. He is a gazelle in the open floor. A Cook, a Cook. Remember his name. Only a freshman. Great rim runner.
Is that the spark that UConn needs? We'll get a good look at it right here, how they respond defensively. Big bang in the pivot there with Whaley. Mary Chavis, the old-fashioned hook. Whaley got a piece of it and gets the rebound.
Whaley's earning starting position right now.
Vital, oh, that's a gorgeous step. And Vital into the cheerleaders. South Florida will come out and slow it down.
And Brian Grader's got to watch this close, because now UConn is playing UConn basketball. Open court for a Cook, and then open court on the very next possession.
And Zach Dawson and Michael Durr about to come back in for Brian Gregory and the Bulls. Castaneda, open man. Good defense, and then a foul. Boy, great closeout by Brendan Adams. Then he fouled.
When UConn can do this, there's Whaley again. Johnny on the spot, getting it done defensively. And now all of a sudden, this is what Christian Vital, this is where his strengths are, in the open floor. When UConn can do that, good luck trying to beat them. They're really good in the open floor.
That's 2. And the left-hander, Justin Brown, very, very effective shooter. He's one of the best three-point shooters in USF history, in the top 10, as a matter of fact, and he also can shoot it from 2.
Boy, does he look confident as well.
Adams, that's a good rotation, but it came up short. Dawson had it stripped.
They got numbers. Smart.
Gilbert. Smart, but you can't make them. That's too bad. You're right. This is...
Yeah, Brian Gregory was getting ready to call a timeout if that went down.
Would have been a 10-point USF lead.
See what David Collins does this possession. Watch number 0 in white. There he is.
Skips it to Dawson. Dawson creates. Oh, that was a good-looking shot. Towel rebound.
You assume it's going in.
Yep, sure he did. Flat-footed. Cook taps the rebound, and a collision there. The ball, hopefully the 2 players are all right, and looks like they are. It'll be USF ball. Got Miami Duke coming up tonight at 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 Pacific, and 2 if you're on the islands. Blue Devils 20-7 all time against the U, but the Hurricanes have gone 5-5 against the Blue Devils in the last 8 years. Saturday Showcase presented by 5 Hour Energy. Duke, of course, perpetually ranked. And Miami, last time they beat him was February 25, 2017. I remember, I can't remember what year it was. Remember when Miami players slapped the floor and the college basketball world went nuts and Jim Larinaga appeared on PTI to defend his players? Oh, man. As if slapping the floor is only reserved for one team.
How about the fact that when you're 5-5 at home against anybody, that's really good?
Yeah. Those guys, yeah.
That's crazy.
Well, Whaley is upset with the official here. He thought he got a piece of ball. I'm taking a look over there at Dan Hurley. I know he's upset. That's 2 fouls on Whaley. You decide for yourselves.
Let's take a look at it here. Durr has been very physical, very aggressive. Yeah, looks like he might have got him on the hand a little bit.
All right, just enough to draw the whistle. Michael Durr, who has to squeeze into a size 16 shoe. Going to play. Durr, 61% free throw shooter.
And gold shoes. Beautiful gold shoes.
They actually are.
I think they're gold leaf.
He's 5 out of 6 in the line today. That percentage is going to...
Yeah.
And he struggled in his freshman year. In fact, most of it, more than half his points have come from the foul line today.
Boy, has USF been tough defensively. And this has been clinic-like.
Gaffney and Durr with a block. And a travel. Twelfth turnover by the Huskies.
Does holding your tablet in bed cause you hand, wrist, and arm pain instead?
It's going to bounce back. You know, the cliche of not letting one loss become two. I'm sure Maryland will have their attention after Ohio State lost to Wisconsin last night, 61-257. Our inaugural Sonic Blockbuster of the year.
Yeah, Caleb Wesson went for 22 points for Chris Holtman and the Buckeyes last night in the loss. Now they take on Maryland. That will be no easy chore. Anthony Cowan Jr., 4th in scoring in the Big Ten. That is going to be a rock'em sock'em robot type of game. A lot of fun.
You know, the rock'em sock'em robots here in Tampa are wearing the home colors.
Yeah. There's been a stark difference between the physical play of USF and Uconn. These big guards for USF have pretty much had their way.
We're looking at a match of the largest lead for USF at 15. Rito playing off the Durr screen. It was a little hard with that Tony Parker flipper, and then a silly foul as he clipped Gaffney. That'll be 2 on Rito. And Gaffney will check out, and Alteric Gilbert comes back in for the Huskies.
We heard from the Uconn fans after the whistle blew in their favor. A little Bronx cheer here in Tampa.
You take a look there. South Florida 3 fouls against him. Uconn 6 fouls against him in this half.
Tremendous fans. The Uconn Husky fans, they travel well, they cheer well, they understand the game, very knowledgeable. I lived in the state for 5 years and had the unfortunate task of playing against Jim Calhoun's teams and never ended up even remotely good.
No basket, and Gilbert with a walk. So another turnover for UConn. That'll be number 13. SportsCenter tonight after Duke Miami with John Anderson and Michael Eaves. We'll have Titans-Patriots post-game reaction. Plus, which team poses the best challenge for Lamar Jackson in the AFC divisional round? I'm going to answer that. None of them. And San Antonio-Milwaukee highlights with Giannis and the Bucks looking for their 5th straight win. SportsCenter after college basketball on ESPN and ESPN. I think the Ravens are going all the way. I don't see anybody in the AFC stopping.
Why?
Can't stop the offense. Lamar Jackson can beat you with his arm, which people didn't think was going to happen. Oh, he's just a running quarterback. Well, no, he's not. Now, when he runs, he's devastating. 36 touchdown passes this year. So, yeah, he can throw and he can read defenses. Castaneda rolls it in. And now South Florida enjoys their largest lead. And, of course, we got the big game coming up on ESPN. We both go with LSU over Clemson. I do think the lower scoring game, Mark, will favor Clemson.
Well, you know, you are the real football aficionado at this desk here today.
Yes.
And listen, if you have a betting interest, don't pay attention to anything that I lend your way. Because the reason why I picked LSU is because I really like Mardi Gras.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Absolutely a solid pick. Hey, you know what's going to happen when we get to the Super Bowl? You're going to see 15 different funny little newscasts. They're going to have chickens picking seed to pick whoever wins the Super Bowl. So, listen, your method is just
right
as good.
There.
Yeah,
right there. And I really don't like orange that much either. So.
Williams is left open. That shot looks good. Yeah, no doubt about it. Rashawn Williams, bottom of the net. 50% three-point shooter in USF. All right, so the question I wanted to pose to you, Mark, we have a timeout for Uconn. Is USF, with this physical play, giving the rest of the conference the blueprint to deal with Uconn?
I saw it in Cincinnati, and I'm seeing the same thing here in Tampa. This is a USF team that exerted their physical will. Knock it down. It's a party in Tampa.
On the go with Mark Adams, Dave Lamont. Beautiful scenery in the west coast of Florida, the Tampa-St. Pete area. You could do worse. And you know what? Uconn fans have very fond memories of St. Pete, about 32 miles away from where we're sitting, Mark. Knocking off the Dukies in 1999 for Jim Calhoun.
Yeah, his first NCAA championship, and of course, Khalid El-Amin, a point guard that could get by you and make you pay in a big way, and Rip Hamilton, one of the great sweet shooting Huskies in the history of this storied program. They can take a look at what's been going on from 79 to 2013 in the old Big East, and they will be in the new Big East moving forward. 10 regular season Big East championships, 7 conference tournament championships, and now Uconn is going back to the future in the Big East after this year.
But it is not the same Big East. It's got some teams that you wouldn't even consider calling East Coast teams. So it's sort of a mixed bag of good and bad for the Huskies athletic program. Right now, it's all bad at the moment for basketball. That's a tough whistle, at least at first glance, on Williams. First foul on him.
And Uconn comes out of the timeout. Good job of attacking the basket, and a call right there. Possibly with the body, not with the arms.
Well,
Christian Vital will shoot 2.
So he's pretty good at this. 86%, third best in the conference. 51st 1,000-point scorer in Uconn history, 28th on the all-time list. One of the keys to the game that Brian Gregory gave us today was don't let Vital and Polly, shoot the threes. And I've got Vital at 0 for 3 and Polly at 1 for 2.
Well, and the other part of that was not allow a cook be a rim runner all day long. Now, he has gotten some baskets and really does a good job of that. But overall, USF has taken away the strengths that Uconn possesses.
Foul on Gilbert in the backcourt. Let's go back for just a second. We touched on the Big East, the return. So I agree with you here that there's some greatness for the fan base. They'll be happy to hear that name again, Big East.
Well, and there's a history of success, certainly for Uconn, and that's how the fans identify with that brand name of the Big East. But the bad is the football team will be independent. It's not the Big East of the 80s. For example, there's no Syracuse. There's no Pitt. There's no Louisville. There's no Cincinnati. You know, Memphis has certainly made themselves into a national brand name now with Penny Hardaway. Kelvin Sampson has made Houston into a national brand name. And so there are some definite disadvantages of leaving the American and going to the Big East, because Georgetown is not Georgetown from the 1980s. St. John's is not St. John's from the 1980s.
No, absolutely not. There's a great drive by Vital where it really hurts their football program.
Yep.
From a scheduling point of view, they're going to have to work so hard to get attractive opponents to come to Hartford.
But, you know, Dave, I lived in Connecticut, and in the 5 years I lived there, I don't remember anyone ever talking about football. I remember people talking about Gino and women's basketball and Jim Calhoun and men's basketball. Now, they weren't in the American. They had not ramped up their football program at that point. But it was never just it wasn't something that people really expressed they really wanted at that time. That was back in the early to mid-90s.
Shot clock violation there. And here they are in June. Of course you got to do this at the Garden. I mean, there's no other place. If you're going to celebrate the history of the Big East, you've got to go to New York City. I had the pleasure of, in my days with Miami Hurricanes in the mid-90s, going to the Garden, and there was just no bigger thrill.
Yeah.
Well, I wish him well. You know, especially Randy Edsall in that football program. I'm a little concerned about that. But as a cook is a rim rocker right there as UConn tries one last stand in the final 8.5 minutes.
Yeah, full court pressure now. It's all high risk, high reward defense. See if USF can take advantage of that risk.
Collins eschewed the screen and turned it over.
Here's their chance.
Got to hit this, and that's a high percentage field goal by Sidney Wilson.
Well, what a catch by Sidney Wilson. That was a skipping rock across the pond, and Wilson somehow was able to gather that rock. Uh-oh.
Oh, yeah, it's an interception and a collision and a foul on Rito. And a hard fall by Vital.
Here come the UConn Huskies. Full court pressure from Dan Hurley, now paying dividends. These are the UConn Huskies that we know and love around the UConn area. Here we go.
Game, they are still down. And we take a look at some other what-ifs around the conference.
I love playing what-ifs. What if Alexis Yetna was healthy? We've seen this USF team today. He will be healthy next season. What if Jaron Cumberland becomes Jaron Cumberland like he was the other night? John Brannon taking over. And will Jaron Cumberland become the player that we all know and love in this conference? And Dexter Dennis, will he come back? The answer is yes. Breaking news. Dexter Dennis will play today for Wichita State at home, which is coming up also on ESPNU, as Paul Sunderland will bring play-by-play, and my favorite analyst in college basketball, Mark Wise, will be also calling that play in the Roundhouse.
We were together the other day.
Yeah.
And a lovely opportunity out of Florida Gulf Coast to watch Liberty. Tricky team to play. And there's a nice look for a Cook, and he will draw the foul off a good feed from Alterique Gilbert. So, what's happened with UConn? They look more energized. They look more aggressive.
I think this game changed a little bit when Josh Carlton was taken out of the game and Whaley came in. And Whaley came in and did exactly what Dan Hurley wanted him to do. He served his role well. He served his teammates well. He brought energy. Isaiah Whaley, to me, has been the reason that UConn was re-energized earlier in this half and began to compete. Second thing, UConn's gone full court pressure. How do you speed a team up? You go full court pressure, high risk, high reward defense. UConn is in that mode right now. They're pinning their ears back because they have nothing to lose. Why not attack?
And when Whaley is not in the game, they have brought in Sidney Wilson. So
it's also
Carlton
done very well.
Yeah, Wilson's in there now, number 15. So Carlton is learning a hard lesson today.
Yeah.
Dawson flashes open.
Little diamond press here, some traffic. I like it.
A good pass to the middle, and Durr with patience. Very smart play by Michael Durr.
Brian Gregory came out of this timeout challenging his team. We don't want to break the press. We want to score against the press. And that's exactly what USF just did. They weren't playing on their heels. They were playing on the balls of their feet in attack mode.
Definitely more driving to the basket for the Huskies in the last few minutes as well. But they're still down with under 7 minutes to go by 14.
That's physical. That is physical.
Yeah, Collins drew contact that time, and he will go to the line. And I go back to something you said. We're right here. We're right so close to it. You're right. The physical nature of these guards has really made a difference today.
Yeah, David Collins just bulldozed his way to the basket right there. I mean, UConn has smaller guards. And while they're really good in the open court situation, it can be a challenge for them to guard these physical guards for USF. It's a difficult matchup for UConn.
And to your point, Vital has 3 fouls. Gilbert, who's coming back in, has 4.
Vital got into foul trouble in Cincinnati. Another team that has some physical guards.
Collins is 7 of 11 from the foul line.
I mean, Vital's having to guard generally the best perimeter player on the opposition's team. Guys like Cumberland and David Collins are going to see a guy with that physical take, and they're going to take him right to the rim.
A cook with the offensive foul on the screen, and a little air coming out of the UConn balloon here on this turnover. His 3rd foul.
Let's take a look at the screen. Boy, I don't know.
I didn't see
unless he just
there.
didn't give him space. That looks, I might be agreeing with Danny Hurley right there.
I've seen worse. He didn't stick out a hip or anything.
No. Yeah, it wasn't overt. Unless it was another angle that we didn't see.
And Durr unable to handle that hot little bounce pass coming in from Collins. Foul trouble's been, a cook was out after 4 minutes in the first half with 2 fouls. Gilbert sitting with 4, Vital 3. Carlton, who may not come back in this game, with a couple, or Whaley with a couple as well.
Yeah, Dan Hurley is sending a message to Josh Carlton.
I hope it's received.
I do too. He's a good player. He had a bad day. He had a bad day at Cincinnati too, and Dan Hurley had to do something. So what do? The only thing a player understands is playing time. It's the only thing they really understand. You got to do what you got to do as a head coach.
Air ball on the 3. Durr with the assist. A smart pass for the big fella.
Boy, this has been a must-win afternoon, even though it's early January for USF at home. And it's looking very promising right now.
Rito, and that little exchange right there, that 50-50 ball, may say it all right there. South Florida, another largest lead, 19.
USF has risen to the occasion. LaQuincy Rito with the finish.
Non-conference action in January coming up. And it's just that kind of day for USF. It's a day to have a good time. Brian Gregory will have a good time later. Not yet.
Yeah.
As far as he's concerned, this might as well be a 1-point game. And that is going to be a foul before the shot on David Collins. And that's 4 on him. And Brian Gregory, Collins looked over the bench, and Gregory turned around for a second. Didn't even consider running him out now, and they're going to have a quick conversation. And he actually may come out now. Zach Dawson leapt to the scorer's table. Let's see what the situation is here. Trying to hit by Bouknight. And nope, Dawson's coming in for Xavier Castaneda.
Well, remember, Brian Gregory knows that David Collins, of course, has played a lot of minutes under his tutelage. And he trusts David Collins. There's a high level of trust. You know, Dave, over the course of my career, there might be like a handful or half a dozen guys that, regardless of situation, I knew I was in good hands in late game with those guys. And David Collins is one of those guys that's earned the trust of his head coach.
Oh, and he just fouled out. He just fouled out. He leaned into Adams, and and my first gut was that it was going to be on Adams, but apparently Collins may have led with a forearm, and he's gone.
And so the trust in this case wasn't rewarded. They established the defensive guarding position. The official was right there on it.
Yep.
That's the right call. You can move your feet and take a charge. Fans today don't understand that as long as the defender establishes a defensive guarding position, he can be moving and that the offensive player creates that contact, initiates the contact, that can be called an offensive foul.
So Collins and Rito have been the men for USF, and Collins is out. Rito's still in there. Looked like I forgot something for a second. Picked it back up. 5 minutes left, and Durr, he's been solid for USF today. As solid as that pick he just set.
Yeah.
So Castaneda's back in. It'll be his show, along with a little help, I think, from Rito.
And USF's going to try to bleed some clock here. Dave, going into this game, we both felt like first team to 60 wins. Now the question is, can UConn get to 60?
Oh, block stuff. Shot clock violation, and look out there, a little inadvertent.
Yeah, that was nothing.
Yeah.
And Cook picks him right up. Good stuff. Justin Brown reacted to it the right way. Great block. Getting his left hand up, blocking the shot.
Yeah, no reaction from USF coaches either. No. It's just one of those things.
Yep. Both players handled it the right way.
Touch foul. That's on Brown, his first. And they're marching to the line again. With Brendan Adams, who's an 81% foul shooter coming into the game. These will be his first free throws of the afternoon. Tapped out by Bouknight. Oh, look out there. Rito trying to create some room for himself.
Well, that could be reviewed next dead ball.
I was waiting for a whistle.
Danny Hurley's asking for it to be reviewed.
Danny Hurley needs a get-back coach, like they have in football. He really does. He needs a get-back coach.
Let's see what happens then. Nah, it's basketball play.
Right. Yeah. So, and your expectations have been met. We are going to the monitor.
And we are going to a break.
So we'll step aside. And they're going to take a look. Is there going to be a call here on Rito?
And let's roll.
Interesting stat here. Second chance points.
Yep.
South Florida 14-0
Yep.
over Connecticut.
Yep.
But we are going to the line for a foul that was called after what wasn't called. And a good look there at Zach Dawson. Started his high school life at Miami High and then transferred to South Miami High. Redshirt senior.
Yeah, what else is interesting about that stat of second chance points, it's not that UConn hasn't gotten some offensive rebounds. They've gotten 6 offensive rebounds. But remember the times point-blank range where they weren't able to convert because they weren't physical enough to let it fly with confidence.
Especially in the first half.
Yeah, in the first half in particular.
And that's when the game was still very much in reach. It was only a 7-point difference. And that may have changed the outcome of the game. Under 4, we'll draw another whistle. Light contact by Castaneda.
Ball foul number 1, Xavier Castaneda. That's his first team.
His first foul. We are double bonusing our way to happiness. So Alterique Gilbert, the redshirt junior out of Atlanta, had a rough start to his career. In his first 2 seasons, he was only able to play 9 games. He suffered season-ending shoulder injuries both years. If you take a look at some of the numbers from this game, we mentioned the second chance points off turnovers. USF hasn't beaten the Huskies very often. They are close to doing it now.
And the Americans, Wichita State, coming up after us against Ole Miss. Kermit Davis, now at Ole Miss, his second season there after doing a great job at Middle Tennessee State. And Greg Marshall, my non-conference coach of the year in the American, 10-1 in non-conference play.
Well, a good day for the American Conference in football. Tulane won their bowl game today over USM. Southern Miss.
Speaking of Tulane, how about the job Ron Hunter is doing?
That was going to be
Tulane.
my next point, because guess what they're doing at the same time Mississippi, Wichita State going. They're hosting Cincinnati.
Yep.
2 8-5 teams, and also tonight SMU with a non-conference game in Nashville against Vandy. Yeah, I've said, I know you've been to Tulane, so have I. Small building. If you can put some butts in those seats, you could really create something at Tulane with that small arena, and you could make really a very intimidating environment there. We'll take a look at some of the big non-conference wins in the American so far. Christmas Day, Houston beat Washington. Most recently, Cincinnati among those to beat Tennessee, as did Memphis. That was a huge win for Penny Hardaway's program. Huge.
Tulane's going to surprise some people.
They're going to irritate
Tayshawn Hightower, KJ Lawson. I mean, there's some talent there. And one thing Ron Hunter does a great job of is a Cook comes through with a deuce right there. You know, I watched Ron Hunter coach Georgia State in the Sun Belt for a lot of years. And I remember his son, R.J. Hunter.
Yeah.
One thing that Ron Hunter knows how to do is take a really good, talented player and leverage their offensive skill set to become really dangerous offensive weapons. Not just scores, offensive weapons. And he's got a couple of offensive weapons right there, right now, in New Orleans. Great pass inside.
Well, Cook was not giving it away for free. And a fabulous pass. Michael Durr heads back to the line.
Boy, even with David Collins sitting out with foul trouble, in fact, fouled out of the game, but boy, Castaneda comes in and just rolls the rock right inside. Durr just goes up strong, aggressive. A Cook, one of the nation's leading shot blockers, went up to challenge it. I love the way a Cook. I like the angles that he takes to block shots. Great shot blockers are guys that have patience. They understand the angles of the game, and they wait for the basketball and then go and get it with either right or left hand, depending on which one is the most advantageous. Cook does all those naturally.
Brian Gregory told us that he needed, out of his post, 12 to 16 points. Well, he got 12 out of Durr, plus 7 rebounds, and 6 of 8 from the line.
And really good physical defense from Antun Marichevich.
Yeah, you know what? He hasn't scored, but he had 3 rebounds and a lot of leaning and bumping and pushing and whatever he had to do.
Yeah, Josh Carlton has a dozen bruises from that guy.
Yeah, he actually ruined Carlton's day in a lot of ways. That was his mandate, be physical.
He was. There's Durr again.
And we're going to get a foul this time. I'm not sure on whom just yet. Durr a little bit shaken as his arm got pulled. And it's going to be on Durr. Take a look ahead for these two sides. That's the second on Durr. Dawson with a quick tutorial. East Carolina is next for USF, then Memphis. Well, that'll be interesting. In Memphis, UCF, the war on I-4. We'll be there for that one. Wichita State on ESPN News on the 21st, and they'll go to Houston at the end of the month.
Well, East Carolina, ECU playing much, much better. Really gave Wichita State all they wanted in the roundhouse. Jaden Gardner went for a double-double, 29 points and 10 rebounds in that game. And Jaden Gardner is a tough matchup for ECU.
Brandon Adams, for some strange reason, hasn't made a foul shot today until now.
Is that like the reverse announcer curse right there?
Yes. You know, and I try to be positive. Oh, it turned it over. He hit the back of the backboard.
Yep.
No, apparently I stand corrected. You don't see this all the time, but it looks like, no, it was not. It was touch. That's a good job by the official. Adams got a piece of that. Excellent work. I thought that hit the backboard, which would have been a turnover, but our camera crew and the officials caught it. A little push by Rito just to continue with the physical play.
Yeah. And they do it quickly and efficiently. It's a slight extension of the forearm, and let me tell you something. That's taught. That's not by accident.
And it wasn't Brian Gregory a guard in his playing days?
Yes, he was. Pretty good one, too, at Oakland.
Book night, and that's just Connecticut's day summed up.
Yep, there it is. Yep. Yeah, this has been an ugly Saturday afternoon after a long road trip for UConn.
Timeout called by USF. Yeah, they did not go back to stores. Instead, they stayed out on the road, got to Tampa a little early, enjoyed some warm weather.
Yeah.
But that's about the only thing they enjoyed. Here we take a look at what Danny Hurley and his group are going to have to do. They head back to take on Tulane and Wichita State at home. Then a
bounce back, because nobody's going to feel sorry. You think Kelvin Sampson and the Houston Cougars going to feel sorry for anybody? I can guarantee you. They'll just stomp right on your chest and go to the rim and rock it on you.
Not even a nice a guy as Johnny Dawkins is at USCF is going to feel sorry for
nobody. Nobody.
And he's got problems, too. He's 0-2.
Yep. This has been impressive by USF today.
Wow. Well, there you go. Beat the shot clock violation. Or did they?
They're going to review it. I think it was good.
They just want to review to make sure this basket is good. So we'll review it with them. That is super close. Where's the red?
It's close.
I don't think he got it off myself.
There goes the 0. Yep, there we go. No basket.
Kayea comes in, number 11. He gives Zach Dawson a little rest. What a gratifying afternoon this has been for Brian Gregory and his staff. Scott Wagers, Larry Dixon, the energetic Tom Harrion. And three-point opportunity here for Isaiah Whaley, who led this UConn team in block shots a couple of seasons ago.
I'm anxious to see that Wichita State-Mississippi game coming up. Dexter Dennis will play, won't start, will play in that game, reportedly.
Okay. According to the Adams bomb that you dropped.
That's right. That's right.
Take that, Woj.
The enthusiasms bomb. I'm anxious to see Houston with Quentin Grimes this year. I haven't seen him in person yet. Looking forward to that.
Watched some of the game last night when they played UCF in Houston, and UCF hung around. I don't know, about 8 to 9 minutes was all Houston.
Yeah, I think Houston's better days are ahead. I really like their roster. If they can make any shots at all from three-point range, apparently Nate Hinton made a lot of them last night, then Houston is not only an NCAA tournament team, but they could make a run with their toughness. Fabian White really playing well. That's a team to keep your eye on that will surely challenge Memphis.
McCook with a rejection, and Kayea runs it down, and USF going to run out the clock, and that's exactly what Brian Gregory wants. Standing ovation from those here at the Yingling Center on the USF campus. South Florida goes to 1-1 in conference play, and UConn's got a long trip home, and they are 0-2 in conference play. USF, your winners, 75-60 from my partner Mark Adams and our ESPN crew. I'm Dave Lamont, and we thank you for watching. Now it's time for Ole Miss at Wichita State. From Tampa, we go to join Paul Sunderland and Mark Wise.